In the lightweight division, we got Mauricio Ruffy coming in at minus 775, going up against Michael Chandler, who comes in at plus 550. Now, I had to eat some crow last time around, right? I went pretty heavy against Ruffy, against a hard-nosed Muay Thai striking style of Rafael Fiziev. I thought Fiziev would be able to replicate what Manuel Souza did to Ruffy early in Ruffy's career, where he was dealing with a guy that was able to crowd him, throw nasty combinations, and eventually come through with a knockout. Now, obviously, I believed that Ruffy had made improvements and he was going to showcase a better version of himself than when he fought Souza years and years ago, but I still felt Fiziev was such a good Muay Thai specialist that he'd be able to find safety and good defense from the sniping style of Ruffy and then eventually get into the pocket and let go with big strikes of his own. First round was very close. I think 2 judges scored it for Ruffy, 1 judge scored it for Fiziev. Round 2 seemed like Fiziev was starting to get on the gas a little bit, and Ruffy was sniping him well, but we didn't get to see what those scorecards would have looked like because Ruffy was able to hurt Fiziev with about a minute left in that second round, and then he kept following up with a barrage of shots to eventually get the stoppage with about 30 seconds left in that second round. Now, it's clear that Ruffy is making improvements, right? He's already this guy that snipes well from distance, moves well with his footwork, is very long and lanky as well for the division with the 75-inch reach, which helps him kind of snipe opponents from distance. His speed and power obviously makes him very dangerous as well, and that's what's going to help him in a lot of his fights. Saint-Denis was able to showcase that there is a little bit of a flaw still in Ruffy's grappling game. Even though he was able to get up multiple times in that fight, it just seemed like the pace and the pressure of a grappling style was not beneficial to Ruffy's style either. And I think that's what led to Saint-Denis eventually getting that second round submission. Ruffy, a guy that was synonymous with the fighting nerds, no longer a part of that team, right? He's, leading into his last fight, he was helping Alexander Volkanovski get ready for Diego Lopez. He was training at Bang Tao. This time around, he seems to be moving around a lot as well, training in Orlando, training alongside former light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida, mixed it up with Paulo Costa a few times as well. So he's really taken a nomadic approach to training nowadays, which could be beneficial to him, right? His style, it's largely reliant on exaggerating his striking skills and trying to find the shot to put his opponents away. And the shot that he has is very dangerous and very powerful with the speed and power that he brings with it. But I want to see him eventually get tested against a solid grappler, see if he's made those improvements from the Saint-Denis fight or not. But again, there's still a little bit of a ladder for him to climb before we can get him to being a lightweight contender of any sorts. Now, this weekend, he goes up against Michael Chandler, who hasn't really had the best run since coming into the UFC. Now, I mean that more so in terms of getting wins. He's 2-5 through his 7 fights, but he's been raking in some bank, I should say. I believe 5 out of his 7 fights, he's either won a performance bonus or a fight of the night bonus. And I think that's why the UFC continues to give him these high-level spots, because he goes out there and he goes out on his shield, or he just tries to, find that big knockout. He has a wrestling background, but he doesn't often look to implement it. We saw him try to do it against Paddy Pimblett in the first round, but he wasn't all that successful with it. And that's when Pimblett started to turn the tables and eventually find that third round finish of his own. More often than not, we see Chandler go out there, look to bomb on opponents with his explosivity, with his power, with his speed. But considering that he is 40 years old now, all those things start to slow down a little bit. The power might stick around, but the speed, the athleticism, that will start to slow down just a tad. Now, I saw a lot of the training footage that he has for this training camp. The guy seems to be going hard, but it's one thing to look good, sledgehammer, using a sledgehammer on a tire, rolling tires over, doing sprints with like parachutes and all that type of stuff. That's one thing, but it's another thing to go out there and actually put that to use in a fight. And I'm not sure how effective he can do it at this stage in his career. It's clear that the UFC wants to continue to give him high-profile fights. Even if it's not going to get him to a title shot, it's a spot where he can go out there, fight a high-level name, and either be a stepping stone for some of these guys, or he could potentially pull off the upset. The Tony Ferguson fight, if you guys remember, he was getting lit up in that first round before he eventually landed that front kick to drop and finish Ferguson. And that was the carcass of Ferguson, right? That was the last time we saw him have true success. Outside of that, submitted by Dustin Poirier, out-grappled and outworked by Charles Oliveira over 25 minutes, which I'm still very surprised that fight ended up going to the scorecards. And then the Paddy Pimblett fight where, a little bit of grappling success early, but really start to fall off afterwards. Cardio couldn't keep up, and Pimblett obviously ended up pummeling him and finishing him in that third round as well. So power, wrestling, but it's all starting to go downhill for the 40-year-old, considering how old he is and how many miles he has on his body. Now, this weekend against Ruffy, it makes, I understand why Ruffy is close to minus 800 here. You got Ruffy probably faster at this point in time, probably has more knockout power, probably has good enough grappling defense to keep Chandler away from trying to grind him out with his wrestling. Because although Chandler has good takedowns, he doesn't have great control, and I'd be surprised if he's able to control Ruffy on the mat. I think ultimately this is going to play out with Chandler trying to crash the pocket and land his power or try to get in on a takedown attempt and then get countered by a big and flashy strike from Ruffy that eventually leads to a highlight reel knockout for the Brazilian. It's hard for me to muster up confidence to bet or parlay a minus 800 on a fighter that needs one shot to change the tide of a fight. I like to bank on guys that at that price tag that are better minute winners, that have the threat of finishing power as well, and completely have their opponent covered in all aspects of mixed martial arts. And you can kind of say that about Ruffy here, but a large part of his success here is going to be finding that shot. Otherwise, it's probably Chandler walking him down, landing some big shots, threatening with some takedowns, and probably winning some minutes. So I'm not trying to make a case here for Chandler, because no way, Jose, am I betting a guy at plus 550 who's 40 years old, hasn't won a fight in how many years, hasn't really looked all that great as of late either. But I would rather lean on, you got the under 1.5, which is minus 135 right now. I don't think that's too bad. I think the Ruffy KO, the last time I saw was minus 260. You're getting round 1 KO about plus 160. Or plus 175. I think round 1 Ruffy is plus 160. So I think you got to find the right prop here. I'm going to go Ruffy KO round 1 or round 2. I like the under 1.5 as well. I think Ruffy finds the chin of Chandler and puts him away pretty easily here. But yeah, I'm just a little bit skeptical about playing minus 800 on a guy that has that narrow path to victory like Ruffy. Like, it's narrow, but it seems like it's pretty probable that it's going to happen. But yeah, I like Ruffy here, and I like Ruffy by knockout.